54 years after, the people of Assaber still remembers the massacre that killed thousands of men in Delta State.
That little town across the Niger, once the home of letter writers and petitioners. But the letter writers are gone and the petitioners are no more. What was the meaning of that? The home of letter writers. Because Assaber people embraced education very early after the coming of the Europeans. And Assaber, though a small town, was known for producing the teachers and the civil servants that populated the government in those days.
In October 1967, 4 months into the Nigerian Civil War, federal troops massacred hundreds in Assaber, a town in southern Nigeria on the west bank of the river Niger. While ethnically Igbo, Assaber was not part of the Igbo-dominated Biafra.
But what baffles me the most is that even if they designed Nigeria to fail, why are we Nigerians accepting Nigeria to fail? Why was this gruesome murder in the first place? It was because they designed us to quarrel. They designed us to fight one another. They designed us not to have any peace. And we are following the scripts of their design. It is time for Nigerians to wake up and smell the coffee. If we had had good leadership, if we had had great leadership, if we had had outstanding leadership, this thing would never have happened.
Thousands of men were killed in the massacre, but many of the bodies were not recovered. At the palace, many people have come to honor those men killed.
It is not very different from what we have been doing in the last 50 years, trying to remember the episode of 1967 and to thank our women who have made it possible for our children to be educated and to have another generation of leaders. I became the Assaber of Assaber in 1991. And for a few years, we tried to celebrate or to remember this event. But to some extent, it was not easy to do it, mainly because the then government of...
So after many years of considering this dilemma, Assaber community came to the conclusion that Nigeria has to own this massacre. Nigeria has to own this tragedy. It's not an Assaber tragedy. It's a Nigerian tragedy. And the fact that Nigeria treats her tragedy in this way is why Nigeria is the way it is today.
That crisis left thousands of women widowed. That is why the palace is dedicating this year's lecture to honor women for their sufferings, sacrifice, and unique exertions during the tragic times and the aftermath. The event also featured the inauguration of the Memorial Monument project.
We've all been talking about men. We've been talking about men that were killed. How about the women that were left behind? From 1967 to I don't know where, most of our women, able women ready to get married, did not find a man in this town to marry them. You all look back. Most of our women were married to foreigners. We have Babangida, we have Ali. They were all married to Assaber women.
The day when they kill person,
the day that they killed someone, my husband and I lived in Enugu. He worked with the Nigerian Coal Corporation Enugu. When they started to shoot guns, he said to me, "Let's take the children and go home." I said to him, "Yes." We carried our children and left Enugu for Assaber. 2 days after we got to Assaber, I didn't see my husband again until today. These are the ones I have left: 7 children. I gave birth to 7 children. One of them is this Reverend Father. I raised him through the seminary.
So we are talking about a terrible genocide that was perpetrated against the people of this town on October 7, 1967. And we are saying that although officially we have never heard any apology or even an acknowledgement from the federal government of this terrible and heinous crime that took place, of which over 1,000 young people were killed, and they were young men and able-bodied men, and they came out to greet the Nigerian forces thinking that we were all Nigerians, and they were mowed down on the field.
Jemima Boloko, Arise News.